we had a hell of a game one between the other LA team, the Clippers, and the Denver Nuggets, another one of the most anticipated playoff series, at least to me. The Nuggets come away with this one in overtime. What did you take away from this, Logan?
This was an absolutely crazy game, peak NBA playoff basketball. I mean, chaos ensued. I have a lot of thoughts. I'm not super confident, even though Denver wins this game in overtime in my Denver pick in this series, just because I don't know how the hell Denver is going to guard James Harden or Kawhi Leonard. Like, I don't know what they do. Harden got whatever he wanted. Kawhi, I feel like, is going to be able to bully guys with his strength. I thought that the Clippers, I'll get more into that in a minute. I thought the Clippers gave this game away a little bit with 20 turnovers. I thought they kind of crumbled down the stretch. I didn't like their late game execution, and I thought the Nuggets just out hustled them. Like, Russell Westbrook had some really ugly moments down the stretch, but also earned them a ton of extra possessions that really mattered at the end. Hits a big corner three in this game. Like, I thought Denver was just better executing late, and I don't think we can be surprised at this. They flashed this up at the end of the broadcast. They trailed by 15 points in this game. It's their eighth 15-point or more comeback since 2019. It's the most by any team in the playoffs in that time span. Like, this is what
The
Denver
other
does.
7 all coming against the Lakers?
Probably, actually.
Damn near.
But this is what Denver does, man. I mean, they do have this special ability, especially when Jokic and Murray are going. They can kill you. And Jokic is that kind of guy. I mean, he dissected this Clippers team. Jokic was the best player in this game. But I thought the Clippers kind of gave this game away too, man. I was really disappointed with their late game execution. I thought they should have kept going to the Harden Zoo pick and roll. I thought we saw some bad turnovers. I just thought, in my opinion, I thought the Clippers lost this one a little bit more than the Nuggets wanted. You know, I think it's a little bit of both, but I thought the Clippers kind of let this one slip away, man. I thought they controlled this game for the most part, and the Nuggets had to battle back. I've got more thoughts, but that's initially what I thought. And I'm just nervous, man. The Denver defense did not instill any confidence in me in this game, and I'm just nervous about Harden and Kawhi.
Wow. I am really surprised that that's your takeaway. The second half of this game was the most impressed I've been with this Denver defense as somebody who's watched almost every one of their games this year in a long time, man. Now, to start, I thought that they were helpless, which is honestly basically what I was expecting coming into this
I don't know.
series,
I mean, if
especially
they
against
keep
James Harden.
my thing is if they keep Jamal on Jamal's defensive performance was still apathetic to me in this game. Like I don't know, man. I think that Harden was cooking him whenever he wanted.
That's not apathy, man. They don't have anybody who can stay in front of James Harden one-on-one. So that's a problem they don't have a solution for. Guarding Harden in isolation, he's just too shifty. He's going to get a step. He's going to
And
get
he's
the
going to
angle
get that
whenever he
float.
wants.
He's going to get that
Yeah.
floater every single time.
But there was a dramatic shift in Denver's defensive intensity
Well, and I
about
liked
halfway
it.
through the second quarter when they went on that initial run and started forcing some turnover, and they maintained that through the rest of the game.
I liked that they moved off of MPJ for Westbrook too. I thought they needed his energy and his skill set in this game.
Yeah, he made some big plays. I thought that this game was just like the ultimate full service Russell Westbrook experience, all the highs and all the lows. But I was really impressed by Denver's defensive turnaround in this one because I thought they were going to have major problems guarding the Clippers, doing anything to make them uncomfortable. And I thought that specifically James Harden just being such a problem in isolation, and I don't have faith in Denver's perimeter personnel to guard him one-on-one. I still don't after this game, but I was even more concerned about them guarding Harden Zoo pick and roll. And I thought that you saw all the reasons why at the start of this game, where they're bringing two up to the level, but Harden is such a good playmaker. He's making the right read every time. And then Zoo is picking them apart off the short roll, where he's a very solid passer. And Chris Dunn is perfectly timing his cuts from the corner. So they're just getting a bunch of easy offense when they bring two up to the level. And then when they try Jokic in more of a drop, like Harden is just getting downhill easily. The Nuggets don't have the screen navigators to apply any sort of back pressure, and Jokic is offering no resistance at the rim. So, like, for the first quarter and a half of this game, Well, I thought that Harden was incredible in the first quarter. He was barbecuing them, and it really just felt like the Clippers were in warmups, like they were getting whatever they wanted offensively. Then I thought that things really, really changed for the better for Denver defensively. I thought that they picked up their level of physicality. I thought that they picked up their level of activity, using their hands, forcing some turnovers, and they ended up having a number of excellent moments on the defensive end in the home stretch of this game. I don't disagree with you that I thought the Clippers should have been hammering Harden Zubac's pick and roll even more than they did throughout this game and down the stretch. I just thought it was their best offense, but I thought the Nuggets were defending it so much better in the fourth quarter and overtime, because if you're going to play where you put two on the ball in pick and roll, there's a few things you have to do. First of all, you have to actually pressure the ball. And that's something that the Nuggets this year have not done all that much. There's been a lot of Jokic sort of playing half-heartedly up at the level. And now you're kind of putting two on the ball without even reaping the benefits of really pressuring the ball handler. But you have to pressure the ball handler. And then you have to swarm the big off the catch. You have to tag the roller, get up and be physical with him, right? Make his catches difficult. And you have to just fly around on the back end and be ready to cover up any sort of cuts and be ready to fly out and contest shooters. And the Nuggets were finally doing that stuff towards the home stretch of this game. And I thought that they had some of their best defensive possessions of the year putting two on the ball. And that was really encouraging to me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were better, but still late in this game. And, like, I thought they had some really big moments, too, some big plays for turnovers. But there's a play late in this game where they actually do go to Harden Zoo pick and roll, and Jokic blitzes it at the level. Gordon gets the goaltend, right? Because they don't have anybody back.
Well, yeah, they're not going to be perfect, but I thought that it was mostly positive results. Like Harden Zoo pick and roll,
my thing,
automatic bucket early in this game, and down the stretch it was not.
I think Chris Dunn was ruining a lot of advantages for the Clippers, and I would play him a lot less because I think he hurts.
But are you playing Derrick Jones Jr.?
No, I'm not. I'm just going to go full offense, I think, in those late moments. I think I'm either going to go Batum or I think I'm going to go Norman Powell or some combination of that, because I think that there were just a lot of moments in this game where I thought that if somebody else other than Dunn is either finishing the play and shooting the ball, or they're going to make something connective happen where he would get the ball and either hesitate or wait a minute, or he wasn't comfortable with shooting the ball. I think he can hurt them a little bit offensively. And he made some defensive plays. Like, he's not a complete zero out there. He's a really good defensive player, but I think I prefer having five really skilled players out there in those situations more.
I don't know. I think that Chris Dunn is an excellent defensive player, but I understand your perspective. And like in the first half, like I said, he was actually great as a cutter and he knocked down a corner three. And like, if he's going to make those shots, well, then you feel really, really good about having him on the floor. But I would agree. I thought that he struggled down the stretch offensively. And obviously, he's just the one guy who the Nuggets are going to be comfortable leaving, which they're kind of going to have to do if they're going to put two on the ball. But that's been their scheme all year. They've been bad at it all year, and they were actually quite good at it down the stretch of this game. So I thought that was really encouraging. I thought that their defense was huge to them winning this game, and I thought their rebounding was also massive, securing extra possessions on the offensive glass. And that's where you really get the Russell Westbrook experience in this game, man.
I just wanted to add, in the fourth quarter and overtime, Denver out-rebounded them 7-2 on the offensive glass. Aaron Gordon, Westbrook, Brown, they were all hustling.
I'll do you one better, Logan. In the last 9 minutes, so that's the last 4 minutes of regulation and then the 5 minutes of overtime, they actually had 9 offensive rebounds, including 2 team offensive rebounds. So they were generating extra possessions at a crazy rate. Russ was a big part of that. Aaron Gordon was a huge part of that. And them closing with Russ is just such a bipolar experience, because in the last few minutes of the fourth, he has 7 points. He has a couple of smart cuts off of Jokic doubles. He hits a wide open three where they just completely leave him, right? I think that they put 2 on the ball with Murray, and then Dunn rotates over to deal with Jokic off the pop, and they just dare them to get the ball to Russ and dare him to make an open corner three, which he does, and that's a huge bucket. But then from that point forward, and for the entirety of overtime, like, he's just not getting guarded. And there's a few possessions where that's super damaging to the Nuggets offense. Like you have the last possession of regulation where they just hit Jokic with the surprise double. He finds Russ wide open, but Russ doesn't want to take that initial jumper. And then Russ kind of just dribbles out the clock and they don't even get a shot up. There's another possession in overtime where Chris Dunn just like totally left Russell Westbrook to immediately blitz Jokic off the catch and he forces a turnover. And then there are the possessions where they get Russ the ball, he's wide open, he takes a shot, but like that's the exact shot the defense wants him to take. Or you have
he also
the
had
2-on-1 where he drives right at the rim and misses.
Well, he also has one where he hits Aaron Gordon off the short roll when they double team him. He has a play where he knocks the ball off of Harden that forces a turnover. Like, to me, it's the perfect yin-yang moment of Russell Westbrook. Like, you couldn't get a more perfect encapsulation of Russell Westbrook's value and impact on a basketball game more than this one. Because with the good, you got the bad, and with the bad, you got the good. Like, it perfectly balanced itself out on the Westbrook scale.
I totally agree. And I do want to give him full credit for all the positive plays that he made because there were a bunch of them, like so many high effort plays. I thought that he was a clear plus defensively. You mentioned that final play on Harden off the inbound, but like the offensive rebounding was absolutely massive. So you have this weird dichotomy where it's like, okay, offensively in overtime, so many of our possessions are turning into Russ shooting these open looks that we don't want him taking as the Nuggets, and he's missing them. Russ goes 5 of 17 in this game, but then he's also winning you possessions, and that's like the difference in this game is your ability to control the glass and your ability to turn things around defensively, which he's a big part of because the alternative MPJ, like obviously changes the dynamics offensively with his shooting, but defensively not engaged, not going to bring the same athleticism, not going to bring the same effort. So I was nervous about them closing with Russ. It ended up working out. It ended up being that he made just enough positive plays to offset the negatives that come from his lack of shooting and defense's willingness to try to dare him into taking some of these shots. And props to him for making that impact. Going forward, though, I think you look at MPJ and you have to say, like, dude,
really?
You need to lock in. Yeah, man, he's Michael Porter Jr. I mean, just the offensive gap playing alongside Jokic and Murray is so massive. So massive. The Nuggets were having to play 4-on-5 basically in overtime with a hell of an offensive rebounder out there, but that's not an ideal lineup to finish games with.
You know, I tend to agree, and I think that the Clippers have those. That's why I think that, I don't know, the Clippers could maybe kill them with those more skilled lineups if they just have all that shooting out there and can outshoot them by such a wide margin, because I think that's what you're sacrificing if you're taking MPJ off the floor. You know, you're conceding wide open looks, but you're assuming they're probably going to hit them at a lower rate because you've got a Russell Westbrook and a Brown out there, and you're way more comfortable with those guys shooting the ball.
Yeah.
I just think they need a guy like Russ out there, man. I don't know. I think he was a positive at the end of the game today. Like, you know, I know that he shot like shit. Like, it's so funny to say that a guy who shot 5 of 17, but
he embodied everything that went right for them in this game. Even with all the missed shots, defense and activity on the offensive glass is where they won this game. And Russ was a big part of that. I don't disagree for this game. I don't. What I'm saying is MPJ, like, you need to be active defensively. You need to be active on the glass.
Yeah.
Because your offensive ability is just so much greater than Russ's. And I don't want to be counting on Russ playing these big minutes, having to fill all these roles.
Neither do I, but I just wonder. Neither do I, but I just wonder if his skill set is more what they need in this series. Like, I thought they benefited from having that secondary playmaking off of Jamal, like being able to have another guy that could take, you know, and handle the rock. And I don't know, it's strange, man. MPJ helps their spacing and Russ hurts it, but you're always going to get wide open threes from, you know, how much value is that actual, you know, is that shot actually? If they're going to let Russ open, is that a bad shot, Carson? Like, genuinely, is that a bad shot?
I don't want the defense to be able to dictate where I'm going with the ball offensively when I have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and say your offense is going to devolve into Russ shots, period. So because, like, okay, the wide open catch and shoot threes are okay, but what happens when you are doubling Jokic, right? Or you're putting two on the ball with Murray, or you're ignoring Russ in whatever way. And instead of catching it in the corner for a wide open three, he catches it inside of 15 feet. And now maybe he's got a 2-on-1, but it's not really a 2-on-1 because they're going to ignore him and they're either going to dare him to shoot a little mid-range jumper, or he's going to have sort of an out of control take. And he's not super good finishing in those situations. Like,
well, I did think
that's
that's that's the one thing that I really didn't like from Russ in this game was I thought he was a little too aggressive going to the rim, where I thought maybe he should have dribbled it back out or kicked it, or he was taking a lot of contested, really hard layups that maybe he would have made 10 years ago, but this Russ just isn't making these shots. So my final question for you on this then, who's a bigger X factor for you for the Nuggets in this series? Is it MPJ or is it Russ?
It's MPJ, man. MPJ has to be out there. He has to be an engaged two-way player, and he has to be making shots. I just think that he is a much more sustainable, reliable contributor when he is doing those things. But it's a frustrating performance from him. It's not a good performance from him. And Russ deserved to close. I mean, Russ earned that with the impact that he made, with the heart that he played with in this game that MPJ had none of.
So my follow up for you then: are you more confident in the Nuggets or the Clippers moving forward after this game? Because I'm encouraged by the Clippers after this game, man. Like with how tight it was, again, with how easy it looked like James Harden was walking into buckets and manufacturing offense. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't think the Nuggets have the defensive personnel they need to really slow down the Clippers. And it's like, again, I want to be clear about this. When I say this, I'm not switching my prediction. I'm still going to go with the Nuggets in 7. I am basing this is in my faith in Jokic, in Murray, and their ability to generate offense. It's such an elite level that that's how they're going to win this series. But
Yeah.
I don't think the Nuggets have a prayer guarding anybody. If that's Big Zoo, if that's Kawhi, or if that's Harden, I think all three of those guys are going to get everything that they want in this series, man. They just made it look really easy in this game.
This is so interesting because I picked the Clippers to win this series. You picked the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just asking me who am I more encouraged by relative to my expectations for them by this game, it is 100% the Nuggets. I'm not changing my pick for this series,
Mm-hmm.
not going to overreact to one game, but like the most significant thing that they could have done to move me was win a basketball game on the back of their defense and their effort. When all year they have been bit by those two categories. They've been a bad defensive team, 20th in defensive rating. They've been a super inconsistent effort team. To see them just lock in and defend at a serious level and reach the sort of playoff level that, like, early in the year, I was like, they're going to get there eventually. They're going to get there eventually. And then they didn't get there. Just like seeing them do that was encouraging. It doesn't change their personnel limitations that they have, but I actually thought they did a good job on Kawhi. They can't guard him in single coverage. We knew that coming in, but I thought they did a really good job sending a bunch of doubles at him, testing him as a passer. He has 7 turnovers in this game. James Harden is a problem. Like, he's a handful. Zoo is a problem. He's a handful. No question. But I picked the Clippers to win this series, so that's not a surprise.
I don't know. People are tripping about. I think the Clippers went away from what was working earlier in this game. I thought they had a bad fourth quarter and overtime in terms of offensive execution. I thought they had some boneheaded turnovers, and I would not play Chris Dunn in closing time if I'm the Clippers. I am rocking, I think, with a closing lineup of I'm going to go Harden, I'm going to go Kawhi, I'm going to go Big Zoo, and I think I'm going to go Batum and Powell or Bogdanovich. I don't want Dunn out there closing. I know he made a defensive play that ended up getting them, I think, a Harden 3 late in this game, but I would rather have the offensive skill. I think he ruined some of the advantages that this Clippers offense creates, and I think
So
he
you're
hurts
putting
their
Kawhi
spacing.
on Jamal Murray then down the stretch, I presume.
Defensively,
Yeah.
yeah.
We saw the Clippers do that, and I thought that that was actually a really good approach to dealing with the Nuggets two-man game, just because, like, Kawhi, when he needs to be, man, he can still deal with the Jamal Murray out in space, and he's so big and still so long. And then if you have to switch when Jokic pops, you feel a lot better about Kawhi's ability to switch onto Jokic than Chris Dunn or really than anybody else on the team. So I see what you're saying. I thought that Dunn still made a number of positive plays in this game. I can see the argument. I mean, Batum also is still making winning plays at this age, and like
I
his
just think
shooting
Batum's still a
is the
good
whole
defender.
level above.
He doesn't. That's what I love about some of these veteran guys, and they don't fear the moment, man. They've played in
Not at
so many
all.
big games at this point in their career that it's just second nature to them. Batum's so clutch, man.
Yeah, dude, and he's ridiculous. The no dip threes, like his release is just so high and so quick.
That's
Bob
one of
Meyer
the
said he was
most
6'11" on the broadcast. That cracked me up. Height inflation has gone too far. We're calling Nick Batum damn near a 7-footer. That was crazy, but he's really good still.
that three he hit, that grenade was like an 100% contested three.
It was. I do think you're talking about liking the offense that the Clippers manufactured. Again, I thought that life got a lot harder for them in the second half of this game on that side of the ball. I also would say I think the Nuggets can play better offensively than they did in this one. Part of that is having MPJ on the floor more if he's engaged defensively. That's just where he has to buy in. But offensively, like he is still a weapon as a shooter and is capable of making some big time jumpers, raining threes down on you. Jamal, I thought, didn't have his most efficient game and was kind of off as a scorer for most of the night, but I really, really did like the Murray Jokic two-man game overall and the shots that they were able to generate. I thought that most of Jamal's good looks in this game came versus Zoo in drop coverage. And then because Zoo is so rigidly playing drop, like they're getting Jokic a number of good looks off the pop. And one thing that I really liked from Jamal was he was very intentional about getting into the paint versus Zoo on drop. So at that point, because Jokic is popping, like they'll initially leave Jokic off the pop, but you can't just abandon him there. So at that point, you pass off the responsibility to Chris Dunn. He's got to go out there and deal with Jokic off the pop. And then Murray's going to drag Zubac out to the perimeter. So he's forcing a switch. And then you can get Jokic some post position, give him the ball. He goes to work on Chris Dunn, and he got a couple of really easy buckets like that. So I thought that Murray got some pretty solid looks. He's just got to get into his rhythm. Like, and that's the question, obviously, for him coming
I mean,
off of the injury.
I thought in the fourth though, I mean, he had some really nice shots, like that little crab
Yep.
dribble to floater. Like I think that
Hits a
I th-
big pull up three,
I
steps
don't
into it versus
worry.
drop.
I never worry about Jamal in late games. It's about can I get some more out of him in the first three quarters. I
Yeah.
know in the fourth Jamal's going to turn it on, but you just need him to produce a little bit more consistently throughout the game. But I think he's going to get there, man. He doesn't look physically poor. You know, it's not like
No,
it's not there's no injuries or like there's nothing actually I think limiting him physically.
no, I agree. And I thought Jokic was pretty damn great in this game, man. What I will say is it wasn't easy for him. This is not a matchup where the points are going to come easy. We know that Zoo is the best Jokic defender on the planet. He is the exact sort of massive physical counter you want who can deal with him better than anybody else out of the post. I thought that Jokic won that battle out of the post, but had to really get in his bag and some really nice post footwork and craftiness. And obviously the touch is phenomenal. So he's not going to have like a 2023 Sun series, right? Where he's just getting whatever he wants with crazy efficiency. He'll put up a 30-point triple double probably because he's just at that level, but he's going to have to work harder for it. The Nuggets MVP of this game, man, well, it's Jokic realistically, but it's Aaron Gordon after that. Like, so damn good. 5 offensive rebounds, 25 points, super efficient. I thought he did a nice job cutting off of Jokic doubles. I thought that he did a really nice job of attacking mismatches when he had an advantage, being aggressive after offensive rebounds, gets to the line a bunch, showed his
Dude,
defensive versatility in this game.
that monster dunk he had was so nasty too. End of the shot clock. You need a clutch bucket there. That was a tough. You know, like again, I'm talking about veteran. Like that was a veteran feel. Like he knew the lane was going to open up and had that monster jam, and that was a
Yeah.
big momentum play too. Aaron Gordon is so solid now, man. Like he's. I
And
was gonna
he hits a big three off of a Jokic double, too.
I-
Obviously, been shooting the ball way
you know,
better than ever before this year.
MPJ and Jamal get most of the shine because they're the big time scorers and shot makers. But there's a lot of games where Gordon's their second best player, man, in
100%.
totality.
100%, especially when he's playing up to his potential defensively, which I felt like he was in this game, and he honestly hasn't for a lot of this season. So we are going to see the Nuggets rely heavily on their core guys, man. There's no surprise there. The bench outside of Russ, was basically a non-factor in this one. You get 14 Peyton Watson minutes, you get 5 Jalen Pickett minutes. That's it. The 4 starters outside of MPJ all play 45 plus minutes. They are going to play 38, 40 plus minutes consistently. And obviously, they're going to try to limit as much as possible the minutes that Jokic is not on the floor. I will say, kind of a crazy moment to start the second quarter where David Adelman decides to go with a lineup that has neither Jokic or Murray when those lineups have been a complete disaster this year. They're literally a negative 24 net team in those minutes. Now, after like 2.5 minutes, he got Murray back out there, but you need to have Jamal Murray on the floor to lift those bench units offensively. The Nuggets haven't been that bad when Murray is on the floor without Jokic this year. They're like a negative 2.5 net team, especially when he's keeping some of the other starter talent like Aaron Gordon and MPJ out there with those sort of like mixed starter bench groups when Jokic is off the floor. Do that. Don't have Jamal off at the same time as Jokic, or you're just not going to have enough creation. But I am extremely excited for the rest of this series. This is my favorite series. It was on paper, it was to watch in game one. I honestly love watching both these teams, and I hope we get 7 games of it. And shout out Big Zoo, man. That guy, just monster on the glass, such a good finisher. The touch is just absurd. A lot of really good basketball players playing really good basketball in this one. I feel like I didn't give enough credit to James Harden for his performance. I feel like I focused a lot on what went right for the Nuggets, and deservedly so. They won the game, but Harden is playing the best he has in years, man. And this is the dream matchup for him, even though I thought they did a much better job of, again, Jokic pressuring him up at the level and defending some of those 4-on-3s on the back end. Like, they still don't have anybody who can guard him one-on-one. They still don't have real rim protection. And I thought he was the most comfortable finishing that we've seen him in the playoffs in a while in this game. Like, he played really, really well, and he's been playing really, really well for an extended stretch. So honestly, I kind of think he's going to be the Clippers' best player in this series. Like, I think
I
the
do
Nuggets
too.
have more potential to throw Kawhi off by just continuing to send a bunch of doubles at him. I think Harden is just in control. He's locked in as a scorer, and this is a really good matchup for him. So I am just so excited for the rest of that battle.